Gerran, good to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's so interesting because I remember when the show was announced, even before like trailers or cast, and I was so excited. You know, high-paced kind of medical drama. You know what I mean? Noah Wyle was in the ER. People were kind of talking about that a little bit, but this is a lot. This is not ER. This is so different.
Uh,
I'm wondering what it was like just getting the scripts for the first time for this, even before filming it. Like you book the role, but what's it like getting those scripts specifically?
oh, I mean, the first thing that runs through your head is what does any of this mean? I mean, because there is so much medical jargon for want of a better word. So I think that was the first thing. I mean, the pace is super quick, and it's just chocked full of a lot of things I didn't necessarily understand the first time I read it.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely.
now.
Yeah.
I do now a bit better, but yeah, it's intimidating.
For sure. What the show does an incredible job of, you know, it is a 15-hour shift at the emergency room at the Pitt Hospital. And
Mhm.
we, you know, meet a lot of the residents, doctors, patients, we meet everyone. And we learn a little bit about each character, where they come from, there's certain situations, like your character specifically. But then boom, you know, we have to go, the patient has come in and you have to go in, and then it gets fast paced, and like you said, the medical stuff. How do you
Yeah.
balance that from an acting perspective, where, you know, you have a lot of things about your character and his personal experiences, but then there's also kind of the big kind of storyline of the 15-hour shift, right? Like I'm curious about that because I find that interesting.
Of the traumas and the trauma scenes, yeah. I mean, to be, we are given. I think every character gets given a nice little moment. I think everyone gets their sort of 5 minutes to sort of delve more into the character. But I think even in the trauma scenes, when we are just performing some life-saving actions, I think a lot of actors really appreciate that because, having a solid task to do is great because, it takes a lot of the load off. And I think you can still learn a lot about people, in those scenes, no matter
Mhm.
how hectic they are. You can really learn what people's strengths and weaknesses are and
Mhm.
relationships, how people talk to each other in those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really grateful for those scenes, to be honest, because it was just
Yeah.
get out your head.
Let's be honest, your character specifically, he at times is going for a tough time during this first shift. And it's like a roller, I feel like it's like a roller coaster he can't get off. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, he gets sort of everything possible thrown at him. I think he's having the shift from hell, and he's probably not the most confident person. Um, but I'd like to think that, it really shows that he doesn't see himself as tough, but he refuses to sort of quit at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely. No, for sure. And, you know, I'm just curious what you think about this, Garen, because, you know, and your character is a perfect example of this kind of self-reflection, soul searching, taking day by day component of things, right? Where, you know, he has conversations with his fellow kind of doctors and residents, and you learn a bit about his background and everything. And I'm wondering because, you know, there is that self-reflection, soul searching kind of component of your character, and I'm wondering from an acting perspective, is it more fun or more challenging playing these characters that are lost, figuring things out? Because from the viewer perspective, right? Like they don't know they're lost, which I find really interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of easy for me in terms of Whitaker being someone who's overwhelmed, I think, by the whole experience. So I think as like an actor, a British actor coming into a big American job, you can sort of, there are times where I feel overwhelmed for
Mhm.
sure in that situation. So I think it's just a case of you can just really channel that and just be overwhelmed,
Yeah,
to be honest.
absolutely. We talked a little
Yeah.
bit. A lot of this, my questions have to do with kind of reading the scripts. But once you actually get in and you film it, I know from a viewer perspective, it is very fast paced and quick, and you're exhausted watching it. From talking to a lot of your cast members as well, you know, filming this is pretty crazy and pretty quick. What has been your kind of experience filming this season? And was there any kind of specific scene that comes to mind that was like really kind of intense and like fast paced that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is just panic, panic, panic. It's great. I mean, it's fantastic. Specifically, I mean, for me, I mean the Kraken scene was pretty intense.
Mhm.
With the Kraken in the behavioral room,
Yeah.
uh, with the whole peeing on me thing. I mean, just from a technical point of view, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was told
Mhm.
pee is going to come at you. Uh,
Yeah.
get ready and sedate this guy. So yeah, that was just very, very surreal and very weird day at the office. But
Absolutely. What can you also tell us in regards to, you know, that script to screen journey where we established that there's a lot kind of going on, and specifically your character, you said it, you know, shit like shift from hell in a lot of ways, right? But like
uh,
when it comes to life, like when you actually are there filming it, because so much happens before you film it, right? Like you might have a picture in your head of like while reading the scripts, but it really kind of sinks in once you actually film it, right? So like what is that script to screen journey like for you on the Pit?
well, I think we're lucky with the trauma scenes that we do get. We get like a medical rehearsal, so
Yeah.
that's a huge part of it. Like we those things we aren't thrown into because obviously we have to look like we know what we're doing. So, you know, we'll have a rehearsal in those trauma scenes where, you know, it'll be almost like a dance, to be honest. So there's a choreography of where we are in the room. We each get sort of individual sort of choreography.
Mhm.
And then we're taught, you know, how to handle the tools. So there's just loads of layers, and they take real care in making sure that these things look real. I think that's the whole point of the show is
Mhm.
the is the realism, and they take real pride in that. So there's just a lot of rehearsal and
Mhm.
blocking so that when we get to it on the day, we can just go and the cameras can go wherever they want. And it's like they're watching a real, you know, a real procedure.
And the way
Yeah.
you're kind of like describing the whole kind of journey of doing the Pit, I'm just wondering because from an acting storyteller perspective, Garen, you can see it as two journeys, right? Before filming the Pit and after filming the Pit, because so much happens before you know you go to camera. Or does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between from an acting storyteller perspective?
I mean, it's just a blur.
Yeah.
It is just one big blur that I'm very happy to have gone through, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're given all the sort of, you know, support we need,
Mhm.
it's, you know, but I think it helps for the sort of environment to be a little hectic,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. There's a lot of important, you know, issues, societal kind of issues that are brought up in this show. Your character kind of is an example of a lot of these things as we discover about his past and his journey to get where he is. Can you talk without going into the big kind of spoilers, of course, because people, the episodes are rolling out, but we're finding out a lot about him and there's certain kind of scenes. How important is it for you to be able to play these characters that, you know, really kind of are example of like important things and topical issues and discussions in our society?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know what I think every character has their own thing that they're sort of representing in the
Yeah,
world. But you know, Whitaker, I just think is I just hope he's a example of just resilience, I suppose.
yeah.
You know, there's only so much we can learn about the characters
Mhm.
in 15 hours, of course, but like
We're learning a lot, I feel like.
yeah, there is, but you know, yeah, I just hope people see, you know, someone under pressure who keeps bouncing back, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I hope, you know, people just see the trials and tribulations of what a lot of these frontline workers go through. I mean, he has everything imaginable thrown at him.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I just hope he's a testament to that, really.
That's very
Just
well said. Last super quick question. You've worked on a lot of really cool projects. You've worked on a lot of cool projects in the UK with BBC and everything. How separate are past projects for you, preparation, mindset wise, compared to something like The Pit? Like, do you bring kind of things from past projects to something like this, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
I personally, yeah, I keep them separately. I'm sure there are things that pop out, but yeah, I think you try and really compartmentalize everything you do.
Yep.
Uh, Try and make it a unique, I suppose, a unique experience each
Absolutely.
time.
Episodes of The Pit are coming out week after week on Max, so they can check it out. Gerran, it was so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pete. It was lovely to chat to you too.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.